I think that's a good introduction for
Yeah.
us guys, to us guys rather.
Yes.
That is Vanilla, this is Kalasinga. That is the story of how we are here today.
That is how we got here.
We got here today, and we actually want to share with you guys our love for cars.
Welcome, guys, to the first pilot episode of Gearhaus. I'm Vanilla, and
I'm Kalasinga.
yes,
This is our first episode. We've been talking about Gearhaus for the last a year.
yeah, like for about a year. It's been a long time coming. Finally, we're here.
Yeah, and it's all about cars.
Yes, it's for the love of motoring.
Yeah, here we're just talking about cars.
Yeah,
Talking about car events, inviting
Exactly.
fellow car enthusiasts to come and talk about cars. That's it.
Yeah, and just killing the misconception that for you to be a car enthusiast, you actually have to own a car.
Yeah,
It's actually not true. I think between both of us, I think we started loving cars even before we had our own. So
yeah,
you don't necessarily need to own a vehicle.
yeah, that's true.
Yes.
Like, in fact, for me, I think, I don't know about you, but for me, my passion for cars started like when I was a kid. I remember back in like 03, 04,
Okay.
when I was growing up, I used to live in Car West. So my passion started with matatus. So I used to like matatus, matriz. So graffiti, big tires at the back, music, all of that. That's what I used to like. Then eventually it just shifted to cars, as I grew older.
And I think it's pretty much the same because, like, for me, I think back in Primo, there was this guy. He was called, I think, Fahad, and he had this nice two-door red vehicle. I think now, coming to think about it, I think it was actually a Celica.
Yeah.
And the old Celica version.
Yeah.
And we always used to wait for him, especially once you're leaving school. We used to wait and be like, "Oh, Fahad atapita hapa."
Yeah.
So from way back then, I used to love cars.
Yeah.
Of course, once you get to love vehicles, somehow it doesn't stop. It just never ends.
It never ends. You actually just get deeper and deeper into it.
Mhm.
And like for me now with the matatus, I used to go to the stage. I look for the best matri just to see it. Yeah. And like if I'm going for tuition to class, I wait for the best matri. And I think eventually when I moved, I used to go to school around Thika Road. So I moved to Lavington for school. So when I moved to Lavington, of course now you stop seeing matris. You start seeing Ranges, Benzes, BMWs. And you're like, yeah, kumbe they are nice cars.
They're better cars.
They're better cars out here. So I'm like, okay, I've seen a nice BMW. Then kidogo someone introduced me to Top Gear. And then I see the cars that I'm seeing are being reviewed on Top Gear.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the rest was just history.
I think Top Gear for me was one of those things that came much, much later. But then the minute I discovered Top Gear, I was like, this is the thing. It was my... And of course, since you have a whole backlog, so you have enough episodes to just keep you busy back to back.
Yeah.
I think that love continues. And what ends up happening is, over the years, a lot of the cars you've been seeing on Top Gear, especially now in Kenya, began seeing those cars on our alloys. So somehow, I would say it's almost coming full circle.
Yeah.
And now you can actually get to kind of get closer to seeing and also experiencing some of these cars that, as a kid used to see. Because, like, for me, of course, we had a Kajalopi. And I remember, I think the first car that, my dad owned was the VW Beetle. So, of course, I used to love the shape of the Beetle. And this was way back in the 90s. But just to keep breaking down, like, every so often, the VW is German. It's German. So it would break down like all the time.
Yeah.
However, when it worked, like, it worked really good. So I think coming from a time when now, you experienced cars from, breaking down to now cars that are a bit more reliable, I think you tend to love vehicles because you've been on both sides of that whole equation.
Yeah. At some point, for me in high school, I loved cars so much. I had a Facebook page called We All Love Range Rovers. Like, I had you see, the guys nowadays have pages for their cars.
Yeah.
Me, I was the OG. I had a page called We All Love Range Rovers. It had members from all over the world.
I think I knew about Ranges when I was in high school. I never saw a Range in my childhood.
I was in Strat up to CLV. So I was just seeing Ranges, and I'm like, let me create a page. We all love Range Rovers. It had people from everywhere. People used to comment and talk about Range Rovers in that group.
Yeah.
That was before even it became a thing
Yes.
to have communities. Then kidogo kidogo, I come across now the Kenyan car community. So back in the day, there used to be, it's still there, but it used to be more active back in the day. There's a group called Legends.
Yes, so Legends was.
So you know about Legends, right?
It's OG car communities.
Yeah. So now I came across Legends, joined the group somehow, came to know about people like Amir Mohammed, Akina K. Washira, Akina Chris Paul. And then kidogo kidogo, they're having events. You know, you're seeing now Subarus, you're seeing Evos, you're seeing, you know, all these fancy cars. And now you slowly develop now from Matriz to luxury cars to sports cars. And now you kind of have like a wide understanding of all types of cars.
Yeah, and like I was telling you some weeks back, the way I joined the car community was actually through Petroholics. Pizza Meet Tuesdays, Pale Garden City.
I was one of the organizers. Let me go on record. I was one of the organizers for Pizza Meet.
And like for me, yes, we used to love cars, but I had never found a proper community, like a place where you could actually go and find other fellow enthusiasts. Yes, I knew about Legends, but I think, unfortunately, with the car community, especially when it was forming, you kind of needed to know someone to fit into that community. And like a time like now, and things like pizza meets, where you could just show up. No one, you just show up. I think I learned about pizza meets and petroholics on Twitter. And that time was when Twitter was still big. What year was it that you guys? That was
we were doing pizza meets around, I think it was around 2015, 16. Actually, what happened is there's a small group of guys we met at Masinga. So it was me, a guy called Mavo, a guy called Kinyash, and a few other guys. We were just a tight-knit group. We had our first meet, just the few of us.
Kinyash, the starlet
guy.
Shouts out to
Kinyash. Even Mavo was a starlet as well. Does he racing?
Okay.
Yeah, does he racing guys. So at Garden City, then kidogo kidogo, this guy called Abel comes into the picture. I don't know if you know Abel.
I don't think I know.
He used to drive a Colt. He went to the US though. Abel comes in. Abel is so outgoing, and he pushes us and brings with him a huge, following,
a bigger following.
Yeah. So kidogo kidogo, we have an Instagram page. We're having now, I think it was every first Tuesday of the month or every second Tuesday of the month, we're having meets. We're having like 100 cars.
Yes, showing up at
Garden City.
Yes, it was proper. I mean, I used to love it because, like for me, I've always been a big fan of Subis. Maybe now is when it's going.
Yeah,
somehow I'm changing that. I've always been a huge fan of Subis, and this was one of the places where I could actually meet other guys with modded Subis. You get a few guts, decide, okay, now call their intake, let me slap one other. Tuners. But yes, so it was a very good place, at least to start. I believe such communities over time have really now grown, to things like Specia Magari and so on. And also including the events that have happened over time. They've brought guys together. The car community has stopped becoming like a clique thing. It's now open, like to anyone. You with your Pro Box, then you can that speed at the back. It's okay. You kind of fit in. I mean, I think every vehicle now has a car group.
In fact, even without a car, I think now you can fit in the car community.
Yes.
The thing is about the passion that you have for cars.
I mean, you have guys like these car spotters, or I don't know, what spotter guns.
Spotter gun, car spotters,
yeah. So pretty much the guy just shows off other people's vehicles. And of course you appreciate, and sometimes, like that day when we were hanging out over at Total and you could hear vehicles passing and you're like, that's Aston Martin.
It's an 11 turbo just from the exhaust.
Exactly. And they're not your vehicles, but at least you're able to appreciate that kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's we've really come from far as car enthusiasts. I remember even for me when I was joining the community, so to speak. I didn't have a car. In fact, I remember I used to go for events in my dad's Toyota Noah, KBR 701 the school bus, a 7-seater or an 8-seater school van. That's what I'm going for Kiamburing TT with, you know. And then over time, at least, God was faithful. Managed to get my first car in 20.
That was the Colt.
The Colt in 2017. I'd finished campus.
Yeah.
So in 2017 or 2016, after campus, I got my first car, the Colt Ralliart, KCC, 100M, still at the top. So that car, I got it for a very good deal. In fact, even if you start I've seen it on sale somewhere else. The price I got it for, it was a good deal. And it had Bila issues. The car had no issues. I think it's the most reliable car I have ever owned. I owned it from 2016 to 2021. I think it was trouble-free. Took it to TZ, took it to Kisumu, I don't know how many times, all over the country.
Yeah.
In fact, I think I got my first issue when I started chocoring with the car, like tuning, doing what, trying to get more power out of it. That time the car is at 190,000 kilometers mileage.
Whoa.
That's when I got my first issue. But it was minor. I fixed it quickly. The car continued running until the day I sold it. The car was
Bila issues.
Yeah,
I think for me, my first car was the Nissan March.
Mm-hmm.
The little egg, though. Way round, yeah. Hey, I used to love that car, but and then it was in the worst color. It was in yellow.
Yeah.
So it used to stand out of the road.
Yellow is a nice color.
Oh, not that yellow. You're thinking about the nice blue band yellow. Yeah, I'm talking about the terrible yellow. The one that almost looks greenish.
Yeah.
Come on, Richard. So that's, but it was, it had all-wheel drive, of course, the electronic one. But it was pretty okay. It was like a 1300cc or something.
Yeah.
Hey, I drove that car around this country.
Yeah.
I used to go anywhere with it. It's mad. I will go.
Auto or manual?
It was auto. Oh, okay. I used to be told to go matope. I'm like, see, kakona 4-wheel.
Yeah.
And I would just drive it.
Yeah.
And of course, it was quite reliable. I don't think I ever had issues. I just sold it.
Just sold it one day.
Yeah. But the funny thing is, when I sold it, I actually got into a very funny car. I actually got the Datsun 1200 pickup. But now this was the 1400, the South African variant.
Yeah.
I sold it, but that's a whole story.
Yeah.
But I think it's easily the best car I've ever owned.
Okay. For me, I think after the Colt, if I remember correctly, I went to Lily Panda. I got the Mark 7. No. Actually, you're right. Yes. I got a Forester SJG.
Yes.
Yeah, Forester SJG, which I owned for 3 weeks.
For a very long time.
Let me tell you. So, actually, my dream car had always been a GTI. So, but then at around the time I had the money to buy a new car, I think I was thinking of getting married. I was thinking of marrying my wife, my current wife. So I was like, I should get a car that's, family friendly, whatnot. So I was like, I can't compromise on boosts. The car must have boosts. I wanted clearance because now when you're having a family, you want to travel everywhere.
Yes.
I wanted a car that's practical. So I got an SJG, drove it for 3 weeks, and I was like, nope. So for me, what made me sell it was, number one, I felt like the cost of maintaining that car for what it was too high.
Yeah.
So it's a Forester, yes. But it costs German money to run
it.
So
well, you tell me, I've been a Subaru owner.
You've been a Subaru owner. So you can imagine you're going to
but that's Subaru
Kenya. You're going to Subaru Kenya, you're being told the high torque CVT fluid, the service in like 30 Gs.
Yes.
Then you join the forums and you see guys, talking their engines because of knock. It's an FA20.
Yeah, the FA20. Yeah. It's really a good vehicle.
Yeah.
Like when it's working,
perfect.
Yeah. But the minute it decides to give you
problems, yeah. So now seeing the horror stories for the FA20, the IT engine, and the CVT.
Yeah.
So you're seeing guys with overheating CVT gearboxes. I was like, this ain't about to be my cup of tea. So after 3 weeks,
that's enough boost.
Yeah, that's enough boost to the Forester. So I sold it, got now the car that I actually wanted, GTI. And funny story, I had a black GTI before the white GTI.
Oh,
So the black GTI,
okay.
I don't know that.
The Badwa Mark 7.
But Mark 7, yes.
Oh, okay.
I don't know that I should be talking about this here, but I was accosted by the DCI. Someone sold a car to 2 people essentially. So I paid and someone else paid. And it became a whole case.
It's a whole Nairobi vibe.
Yeah. So car dealers in Kenya, So anyway, so I had it for like 4-5 days before the incident came up. I was refunded, thankfully so. Then I got now the white Mark 7 GTI. That was now technically my 4th car.
Yeah,
it's your 4th car. But now I've owned 3 cars in a span of a month.
Yeah, you have a history of short vehicle ownership.
Yeah.
So yeah, like with me and the 1400,
yeah,
it was pretty solid.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed having that car. It's very practical.
Yeah.
Super simple to maintain. Of course, it was running a cab. But I had already had a lot of experience tuning cabs because we used to own a Datsun Badok. So it was quite easy for me to just tune it. So I used to love that car because, I mean, yes, fuel was cheap back in the day, but I would fuel in Nai, go to Nanyuki and come back with 2K 500.
Hey, Bona. That's kidogo money.
So for me, it was like, this was the cheapest car. And I used to drive that car there.
Yeah.
The speeds that I should not talk about on record, but it was pretty stable. I mean, for 1400, especially such a light car, just 700 kgs. I think the maximum pound I'd be is like 95 or above. But I totally loved it. 5-speed Nini.
Yeah.
So I just happened to get a good offer, sold it.
Yeah.
But I had all the fun in the world with that car.
Best car you ever owned.
Best car ever owned.
Yeah.
After that, I got an Impreza.
Yeah.
But then during one of the times when I actually owned the Datsun pickup, it so happened that during one of my trips, actually to Nanyuki, I hit on an Outback. And it blew by. Like, hey, you have to get one of those.
Yeah.
Because I tried everything. Shifting all the gears I could see.
Hapo kama Fast and Furious. Na wendi mahali.
Danger to manifold. Siendi mahali. So I was like, I should get an Outback. So kidogo research, I'm like, and back then, I always used to think the bigger the CC, of course, the more powerful.
Yeah.
It's kind of true, but only to a certain
degree.
Yeah. So it was like 2500 cc, yes. So I got an Impreza, but shortly after that, I got an Outback.
Oh, you had an Outback?
Yes.
Oh, okay, interesting.
And when I got the Outback, it had a few issues.
Yeah.
And again, unfortunately, I still didn't know much about vehicles. It ended up being actually a class for me. Because what happened is I learned that when I bought the vehicle, it actually had a bad gearbox. But when I test drove it,
it was fine.
No, I actually felt the bad shift, yes. But the guy who was selling it to me told me the mountings is very big. I didn't know better, so I was like, until nikapelekea Meg. He drove it, I think, less than 20 meters, and it was like, Jaba, gearbox. And I think that's how I gained the vehicles, because I really fixed it. After that, I was like, I changed. So the previous owner, alikuwa tu anaichunga, I think, with River Road parts and everything. So it had shocks which were all different. I went to Subaru Kenya. So when you say about expensive parts, I know expensive parts.
And Subarus don't like these
exactly at the piecemeal thing is. So I changed everything to genuine parts, proper service. The engine, thankfully, was in great condition. So I really enjoyed ownership of that particular vehicle. It was one of those vehicles. I sold it on a whim after I discovered the Forester.
Oh, the Forester, yeah. Because now I know when I met you, had the Forester, the SH.
Yes. Yeah, the SH9. So
SH9, yeah.
It was actually one of those.
Yeah.
So it's an impulse buy.
Yeah. Let me ask, to know who buys it. Your Outback, was it the
BP?
The BP.
Yeah.
Okay. Because my dad also had an Outback.
Yeah. Very comfortable. Actually, that's unfortunately only discovered after I had sold it that actually the Outback is the premium vehicle in the Subaru family.
Yeah.
Not the Forester.
Not the Forester, yeah.
Yes, I got a premium Forester, but I ended up discovering,
the Outback is a
and
bit more
I
premium.
never needed to sell it.
Yeah.
It was one of those ones, because I actually put it on sale like on a Saturday evening, Sunday afternoon. Ilikuwa ishaenda.
Yeah.
At a profit,
Yeah.
even after doing all the
fixes. That's interesting. So for me, I think now the Mark 7 GTI. So I owned it for like 2 years. So it was a bittersweet relationship with that car. Fantastic car to drive. I really, really enjoyed it. Took it to Kisumu, took it to Kilifi, Isiolo, so many places. I really, really enjoyed how the car drove. I absolutely loved it. In fact, I don't think I've driven a better car. Yeah, perhaps in terms of driving,
Yes.
on the road, in the real world, it's one of the better cars to drive out
Like
there.
it's value for money.
It's value for money. It's like the one car that almost does it all. It's quick. It can be practical. It's spacious inside, by the way.
Yeah.
It feels premium enough inside. So I love it in that regard. But now what I hated were the perennial leaks. I mean, I don't know what VW is thinking.
All over the place.
I don't know if VW is thinking. And mine, was the first. Mine was at 2014, early 2014.
You were first.
Yeah, so I was like the first guys. Actually, in fact,
you are Trizex.
In fact, I think mine was the third Mark 7 GTI in the country. Wow. The third one in the country, I remember, because I think there was a KDA, a KCY, and then mine was a KDC, one of the first KDCs. And even for the Colt Bay, they was among the first guys to get a Colt in Kenya. The GTI, the only thing I didn't like were the leaks. If it's not a coolant leak, it's an oil leak.
It's an oil leak.
So you find that the oil pan is made of plastic.
Yes.
It leaks at the seam. You have to replace it. The water pump has a lot of plastic. Leaks, you replace it. The cooling system has a lot of plastics. They keep on leaking, you replace. I got tired of I
think it's one of the things that I've seen a lot of Golf owners complain about. Like leaks are perennial. And also, even as a mech, I've also found the same thing.
You actually have a workshop.
Yeah, it's not one or, a couple of times someone will just come, or maybe like an engine wash, and you're like, you have a coolant.
Yeah, you have a coolant leak. Yeah.
So I think that's I think the pain now with owning.
Like I remember one that was so bad.
Yeah.
I actually went through 3 water pumps with that car in the 2 years that I owned it. 3 water pumps. And I remember one time.
And how long was that? Like 3 years.
2 years.
2 years.
2 years were water pumps.
Where?
And I remember, I actually the worst one. It was right after my wedding. I did my wedding, went for the honeymoon. The car was parked. Came back. Then I was called by Mobius to go do a review of the Mobius 3. Then as I'm driving from Mobius, I'm just driving on Langata roads, I see a warning, check coolant. I mean, it was.
Let's just say for you, the coolant leak happened at the best possible time, because for me, it happened on the eve of the wedding. Hey, my friend. Kwanza it was
amko amepanga kwenda road trip na gari for the honeymoon.
Ilikuwa inaenda road trip. My friend, nakwambia
ondisha ndege bana.
Ndege atafanda lakini unfortunately it was during COVID.
Yeah.
And pia I was like, ndege ni, it's one of those things. And of course, being a car enthusiast, you're like, the road is the place.
Yeah.
So I had decided, you know what we are doing? On the eve, radiator ikapasuka. Kwanza fine.
Yeah.
Then there's, of course, the usual shenanigans. You rehearsals for DD. Rehearsals for who? For who? For fixing a car. And I still went for it. Still did for the honeymoon.
Yeah.
Bila AC.
Yeah. And with the AC issue was related to the coolant leaks.
Yes. Because it ended up being that what's the thing called? The
heater.
The heater core.
Heater core, yes.
It was actually blocked.
Yes.
So what would happen is, coolant haiko inazunguka proper. So at the end of the day, it ended up killing the AC, because I think we overworked it. So windows down, cooler vumbi. That was
enjoy the honeymoon.
Yeah, honeymoon in our lasts.
So then, for me, after the Mark 7, I still, when I had the Mark 7, I bought 2 other cars in between, but they were more of my wife's cars.
Yeah.
So one was the Mitsubishi RVR. We owned it for 1 year, so that car was reliable. It did everything. It was just slow, but it was so it's actually very, very basic inside. But then the car had no issues. Took it to Meru, wherever. We just owned it for 1 year, but we were like, okay, after a year, maybe we should get something else. So we wanted to now get a 4x4 because now we wanted to travel. That time I think that's when like the Mara Nomads were starting out and they were posting their YouTube videos and the Instagram posts, and we were like, okay, maybe we should travel this time. So we started looking for 4x4. And Peter were FPS posted a green Pajero. I remember it was Christmas, around just after Christmas. A green Pajero being sold by his landlord at the workshop. And looked at it. I'd never thought about a Pajero before that time. So I'd considered the J120, Prado, the Hilux Surf. But then when I saw this Pajero, I was like, okay, let me just have a look at it. So I went, met a guy. It was a 3.5 liter V6 petrol. Then I was like, okay, Pajeros are nice. Fuel is not an issue. Fuel, okay. I was like, okay. So for me, fuel is an issue. But the idea was that I'd have the GTI as a daily, and then I'd have a Pajeros as a weekend car for doing long distances. Yeah. So I was a bit concerned about the fuel, but then I started looking at Pajeros more and more. So I went to a few yards here and there. Saw a couple of Pajeros, but then none was as clean as the one that Peter had posted. Yeah. And the guy gave me a really, really good deal on that Pajero. So I took it. So I sold the RVR and bought the Pajero immediately. And I think from that time, the Pajero we still have the Pajero.
Yeah, I still have the Paj.
Yeah, I still have the Paj.
Any plans of letting it go? That's still a solid.
Unless I land on some good money and good money, I mean like 20 million.
A built Defender.
For not even a built Defender, the FJ Cruiser, 2-door. I know you think it's ugly, but FJ Cruiser, 2-door.
What do you mean an FJ Cruiser? You know, I was thinking you'd say maybe an FJ40 or
FJ Cruiser. I'm a Jimny. So anyway, so back to the Pajero. So I've been everywhere.
Yeah.
I've taken it to Chalbi Desert, taken it to remote places in Maralal, Wamba, taken it to coasts. It's been everywhere. The car's been super, super reliable. Guys are afraid of Pajeros, but mine has been stupid reliable,
And I think the 3.6 petrols are usually pretty
3.5.
Yes, they are pretty bulletproof.
Yeah.
I guess also because of the size of that engine.
Yeah.
You don't even, it's under stress.
Yes. Yeah.
And actually it produces very little power.
Yeah.
For such a big V6.
Yeah.
So I think that also contributes to the reliability of that car. Actually, for me, when I got the 4Z, I was trying to get the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
So I wanted power, but I also wanted a go everywhere.
Yes.
So it was pretty much the last of the goods.
Yeah.
Yes. An EJ 257.
Yeah.
So, and it was actually the SH9, which is the engine on the STI, the WRX.
So it's not a SH5, it's an SH9.
It's an SH9.
Because Gamashema was the judge.
Yes. So, and I had always been wanting one. And that's why I'm saying it was an impulse buy. Because what happened is, during one of those days, without not planning to get one, one of my friends sees it posted somewhere. Actually, but yes, they had brought it. No, I'll call my post that it just landed. So when I saw it, I was like, hey, are you sure? So he was like, I think I'm sure, but let me confirm. So he makes calls. So we've seen it like today, he confirms the following dates. The third day, I was on SGR, Nikenda Coast kuchukua gari. Just drove it. I was like, like a pesa up. Because I was like, this is perfect. This is always what I wanted. It's been pretty solid car. I think I've driven it everywhere.
Actually everywhere.
Besides Amara, I've driven it out of the country. I've driven it slow. I've driven it fast. I've never got stuck. So in terms of like the Subaru 4-wheel system, I'm like, it's pretty solid.
Even for me, the Pajero, I've never been stuck. I've gone into deep pools of water in Nairobi National Park. I've gone for mudding with Alcaranja. I've gone to crazy places, Abadeas, Lake Ellis. Never been stuck. Just put it on follow, and it goes over everything.
Yeah, because I think the only thing that I found is, of course, when you get on loose rock with the 4Z, that's where you struggle. Because, of course, that's where you miss follow
and a locking.
And a locking.
Yeah.
At some point, I actually thought of swapping out the gearbox to one with low range. And I saw some in Australia. I mean, Australians are crazy. I mean, if there's a car scene that I love, it's the Aussie one, especially on the four-wheel.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a topic for
Another day.
yeah, really yet. I wanted to get one of those skills. I was like, I think this is the only thing that is limiting, because mud, I don't think, unless you get, like caught on the underside,
Yeah.
it's pretty solid.
Yeah.
On the highway, you pretty much keep up with
Nearly everything. Yeah.
And this is on an SUV.
Yeah.
And stability is pretty good. I think the only mod I ever did on that car was 80 tires.
80 tires, yeah.
And it's been a solid
Yeah.
drive, 100 and something thousand kilometers, almost 200.
Yeah.
And I think,
The perfect car.
yeah, has been a pretty good car. But again, even with all that, I still think the 1400 was the best fun car to ever own.
Yeah.
Because you could throw it around.
Yeah.
And it just felt like you want it to turn this way, it just turns.
It makes you giggle when you're
Exactly.
driving. Yeah.
And that's a thing that I've come to realize that I think it's not always about power. I think now you know better.
I know better because of the car I'm about to talk about next.
Yes. Yeah. So for you, I think I've seen how much you've enjoyed the little. I think just tell us about that.
So after the GTI, it's to many people it's a downgrade, but for me it wasn't really a downgrade. I toyed around with the idea of getting a Mazda Tenza, something a bit more executive, because of the nature of my work. We have 825s. But then kashetani mahali akaniambia, you need a manual gearbox, you need a turbo, you need lightweight, and you need a car that can go around corners very fast.
Yes.
That time, I think,
what options did you have? You didn't have a lot of options of that.
Actually, there are very few options.
I know. Yes. Especially with that kind of combination you're talking about.
Yeah, there are very few options. So when I was thinking about the car, Mustafa, there's a guy called Mustafa. There's probably in the car community know Mustafa. Mustafa just brought in the first Suzuki Swift Sport ZC33S. That is the 2018 plus model.
Basically it's not the newest.
Yes.
Because now they have the 34S.
There's a 34.
No, they don't have a F. It's just
a normal one, not a sport.
34.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now the 33S was, Mustafa brought in the first one. Then I was like, okay, this looks like an interesting car. Did my research on the car. So what it was doing around the Nürburgring, the car was actually keeping up with cars like BMW M4s, M3s,
which is pretty
crazy, Porsches,
because those things are insane. Even power to weight ratio.
Yeah.
When you were talking about manual gearboxes, those are the cars that come to mind. Like vehicles that are, it's lightweight, it's a manual box, it's a turbo powered car.
Yes.
It really limits your options. Juicy, so a manual GTI and all,
a Mach 7.
Yeah, and I was like, do they exist? I didn't know
they do. Yeah.
So
those are for now the proper drivers.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, this car looks like a proper driver's car. And you see, now I had the Pajero only because I've sold the GTI. So I have the Pajero. It does everything, but it's not a driver's car.
No.
And I like driving. So I was like, okay, I've done my research. It seems to be doing well in Europe. In Japan, people seem to love them. I was like, you know what? Let me just try one of these cars. So I ordered one. I think mine was the second one in the country. Again, I think
right after
Mustafa. Yeah. So I think I tend to buy things so quickly. So
you take a gamble.
Yeah, I take a gamble. It came, and I can tell you, Vanilla, that car is fantastic to drive it. I mean, it's just juicy. Went to some Moranga twisties, and that car, the way it handles, it's like it's on rails. I've taken it, I've tracked with it. I have driven it distances. It's not a very good cruiser.
No.
Because the 6 gear, it's actually a very, very short gear. So you find at 100 kph,
you're already on the
3 RPM, local gear 6.
So it's not it's not like what you get with GTI.
GTIs are cruisers. GTIs can you hit at 200,
you enjoy them.
Yeah.
You're hitting something like 180, and still the thing is like it's relaxed. 2,000, right?
Yeah.
The vehicle is just comfortable, quiet. Yeah.
This one, it's more of like a sprint car, so it likes darting, from point to point. And I'm having fun with it. I still have it. I'm having a lot of fun with it. It is reliable.
Doesn't have any leaks. Then literally you could break it and build it and still be like,
yeah. And it's fantastic.
And there's an entire community around that car. And let me tell you, I've been following, and I saw when Mustafa brought his.
Yeah.
I've always been a fan of the Suzuki Swift. I actually wanted to get the 32, but on the RS variant.
Yeah.
And I drove one, and I was like, this guy's brilliant. But then still, I wanted a lot of clearance, so I still didn't want to get to that vehicle. I think over time, as a driver, and I think this is something that you can just speak about, like what makes you decide to choose a vehicle. Like what makes you decide that this is a good vehicle for me, and because like for me, back then I didn't think that I wanted a low vehicle. Now I'm okay with one. I've driven a couple of low cars, and I think they are survivable, and especially if you love fun cars. You kind of have to go low. Yes, you can get your bit powered 4x4, but it's not the same. You lose, especially on proper driving. There's that. So like whenever you've chosen a vehicle, is so I guess the Swift for you was a passion car. It wasn't very much. It was more like, this is the heart speaking. I
was like, okay, I want to have fun, but I want it reliably. I don't want to get a boring sedan to just, so a soulless sedan, for lack of a better word, to just be driving to work. And I wanted a car that will, at least I'll smile when I'm driving. So so the Swift is that car for me rather. And and I guess
because I think it's like with Benzes. You find like, especially with the proper Benzes. So we're talking E-Class. They're very nice on the road. They're proper cruisers, but around town they are very boring cars. I don't know. I saw Lukman. They got the A63.
It's not boring. It's an AMG.
So I wanted to clarify it. I'm not talking about RMGs here. I'm talking about your typical
C180s,
E180, E200s. I think that's why people say they're old man vehicles. They're just going to get from work, the house, or even cruising on the highway. I don't see the way you're going to drive a D63 like a said person. You'll not help it. It's like owning a Pro Box. Because I've not found a same person driving a Pro Box.
So I think now we are looking forward to the cars that we're going to own in the future.
And also the cars that we are going to have short stints with. If you have a car out there that you think we should.
In fact, I think, I don't know if they're going to talk about it today or another time, the cars that we want to own. And also we'll be having some people who...
I think we can hold that. And, I think we can have some guests over and just see, like, what are the choices that guys would like to put across. What would be your dream car garage? Both on a budget and
unlimited budget.
Here is a check, open check,
blank check, buy whatever you want.
You want a Cullinan? You'll go and get one. So I think that could be a topic for another day. And I think it would make for a very interesting topic. And like why one over the other. So I think as we are wrapping up, there's so much.
There's so much.
And I think even to the listeners, one of the things that is coming out is from the vehicles we've owned. So I think we've both owned vehicles that are, I will not say pricey, but they're not as
expensive as people.
But they're also not cheap. But on the other hand, the vehicles that we've enjoyed the most are actually what you'd say
the cheaper vehicles.
So I think, last word.
I think that's a good introduction for us guys. To us guys rather. That is Vanilla. This is Kalasinga. That is the story of how we are here today.
That is how we got here.
We got here today, and we actually want to share with you guys our love for cars. So I think what I'd say is that if you have a topic you want to discuss, car related,
please let us drop it in the comments. Jump in our DM. Just tell us. Or if you have a car question, anyway, please. Or if there's a guest you want to see, feel free to let us know, and we'll try and get. Or there's a vehicle you want us to review.
From here.
Sit it down. Maybe we might review it with our mouths and hands and just ears. But
So this is Gearhaus.
So this is Gearhaus. This was episode 1, and we've had fun, and I hope you've also had fun listening to us.
Yeah.
So see you in the next one.